situation is expected to be worse next year. And now we recently saw the Moody's report that was expecting values to fall another 30% next year, which would mean yet another budget crisis for the county 2 years out.
Right.
So the county, a lot of local officials feel they're at the end of being able to cut without having a real impact on services. Many of them blame the tax amendment of several years ago. Do you have any advice for them on how to handle the upcoming years if it is correct that these years are going to be even worse than the one they just came out of?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would advise them to do the same thing that Florida families are having to do. Live within your means. I mean, I wouldn't advise them to increase their taxes. Florida families can't afford it, in my view, and they're suffering enough already. And so my advice to local governments would be to, tighten your belt, scale back, and hope that the economy turns around sooner than later. And I'm an optimist. I believe that it will, and I'm hopeful that that occurs. But in the meantime, we've had to reduce spending in Tallahassee by over $7 billion since I've been governor. I mean, that's a significant pullback. But you have to do what you have to do. And, you may not be able to have, some of the nice things that you'd like to provide in terms of services to people. But if you stay focused on the priorities, public safety, taking care of the most vulnerable in our society, I guess with county commission education's really a school board issue, but, those are the priorities for me at the state level, education, public safety, and care for the most vulnerable. And, if you have better days ahead and you can do more, that's nice to be able to do, but we aren't in those times right now.
You say you're optimistic. You're an optimist. Were you optimistic State Farm would stay?
I was hopeful, and I was I got to tell you, I could not be more pleased with Commissioner McCarty's leadership than I am. I think we called their bluff, or I think he did. As you've obviously followed the issue, and they were attempting to receive an increase of 47%,
Right.
47% on their rates. I had the good fortune to brief yesterday morning with Commissioner McCarty, and he informed me that once they got to the hearing, that increase request jumped to over 60% that they were going to put on the backs of our fellow Floridians. And, during the entire time, I love Commissioner McCarty. I think he's done an extraordinary job. I think he's a true consumer advocate. And so I've encouraged them all along. I said, well, fight back. I mean, if we were to grant through the Department of Insurance that kind of an increase, I think I said some words to the effect, who needs them here anyway? I mean, nobody's going to be able to afford them. I mean, it's galactically ridiculous. And so it seemed to me that the settlement he was able to achieve, whereby of the 1 million customers or so that they had throughout the state, they're going to continue to write for over 800,000 of them. That the increase, instead of 47 or in excess of 60%, is going to be 14.8. That now their agents, for the first time, as I understand it, are not going to be shackled and only have to sell State Farm products, but will become, in essence, almost independent agents and able to offer a range of different products to the consumer. I think the commissioner's done an extraordinary job on behalf of consumers of Florida. So you have a significant player that stays in the state. Their rates go up, but not to the ridiculous gouge that they were seeking. And, to be blunt, and you continue to have coverage for people throughout the state as a result.